Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology, Debunking Mythology. And I'm really happy all of you enjoying our shows. Every time we bring a new topic and a new perspective. And it's purely academic. So any questions that I ask, you all know that I'm not a politician. And I ask purely from academic curiosity purposes and also for educating others. Uh, Today we have a very, very special guest, a practicing uh, faith leader, I would say faith leader. She is actually teaching others, and herself, she is a community leader for others, many others. And also she has done her own research on these topics and also experienced it through yoga. So without delay, let us welcome Sadhvi Jaya Bharti. Namaskar.
Thank you very much. And namaste from India. Thank you for hosting me and inviting me here. I'm very privileged to be a part of this very prominent show and very interesting one.
Thank you. So, you are a practicing person, and first of all, it
Sadhvi.
surprises Sadhvi, and you are a leader of a community, and also
Mhm.
it is very remarkable for many Americans and other faiths to have women as faith leaders. So forgive me for asking that question. That only in the Vedic culture or Sanatana Dharma, women are recognized as gurus, faith leaders, like we've discussed so many times. Kunti Maharani, Janvi, Mother Sita, all these have been leaders of the community. So, so,
Mhm.
ho- so can you elaborate on the history of this for our audience, please?
Yeah, so let me, since you asked this question from the gender perspective, I'd like to put it across that Sanatan Dharma is a gender neutral, a faith system. So it doesn't, it looks at a human being. It doesn't look like what sex or what gender you are. It doesn't matter, because Sanatan Dharma establishes the life of the goal, the goal of the life, as the realization and direct perception of the element of divinity within, the soul element. So a human being, it is the only prerequisite for a soul to realize itself, is to be a live human being. You can be a male, you can be a female, you can be a transgender. It doesn't really matter. So it's only that you should be a human being and you should be keen to discover that ultimate truth. That's what it actually looks at. So in our history, we've seen that gurus were like, we talk of Gautam Buddha, and Sujata Rishi was his guru. So, our history is laden with many examples of where women have been, you know, just at par with men. So it's actually never been a part of the debate, or there was never been a question in Sanatan Dharma on the participation of women in religious ceremonies or in spirituality per se. It is, in fact, very important, or the ultimate goal of life, to make spirituality or practical religion the first priority in life. And it doesn't have to be only for men, it has to be for a human being, for men, women, children, everyone. So it's never been at what stage of life you get introduced to it, or what gender you are, whether you're a man or a woman or whoever. So it's never been a question or a point of contention in Sanatan Dharma. So if we talk about it, that it's very quite surprisingly, you're looking at women. I'll tell you about my organization. I'm a disciple of Sri Ashutosh Maharaj Ji, who is the head and founder of Divya Jyoti Jagrati Sansthan. It's a global organization. We have more than around 300 plus branches in India and 15 overseas. And I'll tell you, more than 80% uh, preachers, like I'm a preacher, I'm a sadhvi, and we preach about Sanatan Dharma to the society. So more than 80% of the preachers in our organization are women. almost 80%, more than almost 90% of our programs are headed by women. So we've got around 12 social aid and development units where we work in prisons, gender justice, education, health, and various social sectors. And most of them are headed by women sadhvis, women sadhus only. Most of the branches are headed by women. So it's never been a question. And so Sanatan Dharma is gender neutral. It focuses on human beings. It focuses on men, individuals per se. It could be anyone.
Great answer. And I purposely asked that question because even today, many churches, most of the churches, most of the
Hmm.
mosques do not allow women leaders, and sometimes they call Sanatan Dharma as backward. But I want to say that is a most forward-looking culture of the world, and where women hold prominent positions. Like therefore, I gave the example of Mother Sita, Draupadi. These are the leaders of the society, and they have been respected from time immemorial. So brings me to the next point, and I'll take the cue from your last reply about Sanatan Dharma, where you explained in a wonderful way. So can Sanatan Dharma be represented as the oldest and yet the most modern type of system?
If you essentially understand the meaning of Sanatan Dharma, you would yourself know that Sanatan Dharma is as old as the existence of humanity itself. Because uh, I'll tell you, when we talk of what is Sanatan, Sanatan means, which is beyond the impact of time and space, something that doesn't changes with time or doesn't changes with space. That is Sanatan. That means it was always there and it will always be there. So Sanatan is eternal. So when we talk of Sanatan, what is Sanatan? There's also a quote in our in which is very well referred in Sanatan Dharma, and we the practitioners of this faith, we say, we've heard from the Vedic scriptures that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, that Brahma, the supreme consciousness, Brahm, the sustainer of this consciousness, which we call as God, it is it's only the truth is God, and rest is mithya. Mithya means something which is illusion. So only God is truth and rest is illusion. So you may ask, Sadhvi, you are talking through a computer system, you're sitting on a chair. So do you call it illusion? You're sitting on an illusion, you're talking to us through an illusion. So the illusion in this, when we talk of from the spiritual perspective, from something which is ethereal, so illusion is something that will change with time and space. Now the chair I'm sitting on is made of wood. So was this chair this way, the way it is now 100 years back? No, the truth of this chair was it would have been a tree or something else. And now, will for next 100 years, will this chair remain in this position or in this form only? No, its truth will change. So with time, it will get deformed. With time, it will decay, and with time, it will cease to exist. So something that exists today, but its truth of existence will change in the span of time with the impact of time and space, is called illusion. That it is visible and we can materially feel it today, but after a lapse of time, it will not be there. But something is there which doesn't cease to exist with a lapse of time, and that is our consciousness. Our consciousness itself is Brahma. Our consciousness itself is God. So Sanatan Dharma is, when we talk of Sanatan is the our consciousness, and the technique to know it, to technique to realize our own element of spirit and our own element of divinity is Sanatan. It has always existed, and it has never changed over the centuries or eras bygone. So Sanatan Dharma existed even before that. God and to technique and the technique to know God within this human body existed even before this human body came into existence. So Sanatan is eternal beyond the impact of time and space, and dharma is not when people loosely translate dharma as religion. So dharma is not religion. Dharma is the sense of duty that you become conscious of after having the direct perception of the element of God or element of divinity within yourself. So Sanatan Dharma is the practical realization, perception of that God element within. And when you become one with that consciousness, the realization that comes and the realization of your duty that comes with it is Sanatan Dharma. So the first duty of a human being when he is existing, when he is live, is to have the direct perception of the soul within, because this body will cease to exist but that soul is eternal. And while we are live in this human body, we have a, there is a, there's a mechanism we call as third eye or the divine eye, which is seated here, which is opened by a guru. When this third eye is opened, you can very well have the direct perception of the soul. That's why all the saints and sages have said that do not believe in the God element until and unless you have the direct perception of it. Kabir Das ji has very, in very simple language, like probably people in America would, if somebody knows Hindi, they would be able to understand. Jab dekha tab gawa is a Marathi saint has also said that I believe in this, God element only when I see it. And it is only Sanatan Dharma which has proclaimed right from the beginning that God is perceivable, that element of divinity, that element of spirit inside you is perceivable, and the technique to see it is also existing. So Sanatan Dharma is to have that technique, put that technique in practice, and when you see it, you know that the technique and the dharma exists as long as humanity is existing.
No, great reply, and great guidance also for many people. So one of the things which usually people get challenged is because there is a lot of mispropaganda, and
Mhm,
just the way you are explaining, you're talking actually about science, because science is something which you can experience it, you can feel it, and you can actually
mhm,
see it. And that's what science is. Science is all experiential generally, and also
mhm,
the results can be recorded. Now one of the questions that come into mind is that if people look into the mirror every day, and they see their body, and they see the hair, they make the hair, people spend billions of dollars in cosmetic industry, called billions of dollars, is one of the biggest industries in the world, but they fail to understand that who is looking at the mirror from the body, and and the- and and that is never taught to billions of people. Other than the practitioners of Sanatan Dharma, practically no one else
mhm,
actually talks about soul in such depth, uh,
mhm,
just like the way you are explaining right now. So the element of soul is missing in
mhm,
every single education system today, and when that element of soul is missing, then automatically miss out the compassion, because the compassion comes from the very basic feeling that everybody is a soul, and everybody is a living entity. And somehow in the
mhm,
knowledge that is being spread around, that you are the body, and you have no next life, very common, very no next life. So what is the position of Sanatan Dharma on that? Actually, I've written two translations of Bhagavad Gita, but I'm just asking to get your views on that. So please enlighten others on that, please. Did you get
I
my
think
question?
we lost it.
Yeah. So
You talk about the next life thing, that people believe that,
so generally,
the way the
yeah, let me repeat it. What I said was
I lost
generally,
the question. If you could just repeat in one line, I'll answer. Yeah.
yeah. So generally, people are told there is no next life. This is it. Yeah, you're done, and then rest in peace, and everything is over. And so most of the criminal activities come from there, because I am never going to see the karma of what I did. So what is your point on that? Why people should be believe in soul and also the next life, which is an important part of Sanatan Dharma?
Sanatan Dharma would never, um, you know, propagate to believe something without experiencing it. Soul passes from body to body can only be, you know, somebody can only be convinced about the fact that the soul passes from body to body, from birth to death and then again birth, only once when you realize and have the direct perception of that soul within. You know, in a very generic language, when somebody dies, what is the vocabulary that we use? That particular gentleman or lady has passed away. What is passing? I'm standing, somebody comes across and passes away. Passes doesn't mean ceasing to exist. The very general language that we use without even being conscious of it, we just tell that one soul had come, stayed with us in a body for some time, and has moved on, has passed. Passing means crossing from one phase to another. So we all, and every faith system says that, in Hindi we say guzar gaye means passed away. you know so we know that we are here for a temporary time and then we are passing. So if I'll tell you a very simple conversation Swami Vivekanand was having with a person. And he was telling that gentleman that there is this human body is a chance to realize the soul within, and soul is perceivable, and we can only attain that ultimate knowledge of soul until we are in this body. And so the gentleman, after listening, he said, see, I'm not convinced. I have a lot of I don't want to be convinced about it. And very beautiful answer Swami Vivekanand gave to that gentleman. He said that I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to inform you. You may choose to accept that information and go ahead and experience it, or you may choose to reject. The cost of it lies on you. It is not on the person. If I tell you, yes, that the soul is here for a temporary time, it will leave this body and move ahead. So Lord Krishna, when talking to Arjun about the body, when he is worrying that, so many people will die in this war of dharma, and that I have to establish a better society after killing these many people, what's the point of that? So Lord Krishna also explains to Arjun that Arjun, don't think that it is only their only birth, or they will never come again, or they had not come again. Don't think that even this body in which you're standing and speaking to me, you've got it for the first time, or my body I've got for the first time. We've passed through these bodies many times and we'll be coming again. We'll be passing through these bodies again. So this is, our very prominent, when we call scriptures, have been time and again for since eternity, have been explaining it to us. And they're not only explaining it theoretically or literally, they are telling us that there is a technique by which you can actually realize the soul. And once it's like, for somebody who's thirsty, and I keep explaining to him that, once you take a glass of water, once you drink it, it will quench your thirst. And he says, I don't practically think that that's even possible, that I'll feel satiated after having something you're telling me is inside this glass. But then I stopped telling him, I stopped speaking to him, and I just asked him, how do you feel? What would that do? He would have confusion whether the and just satiating, it cools you. He would have no more variation on. So direct perception through Brahma established the truth. That is why Sanatana Dharma never says Sanatana in the whole thing that is not practically, which cannot be practically experienced.
Right.
So no, similarly, when we talk about soul or dharma, it has to be experienced. So when whether we talk about life, whether we talk about soul, whether we talk about birth and life, nothing is something can be prominently agreed by believing in it. So we, as Sanatan Dharmis, we never say believe in something because we are saying so. We take you from a believer point of view to, that's why in Sanatan Dharma we call saints and sadhus as seers or perceptors, you know the ones who show the reality. When I was talking about the example of a glass of water, when somebody has already drank it, you won't need my theory to believe that it quenches your thirst. Similarly, when you experience your soul essentially inside your body, you won't need any validation that what is the element of spirit, what is the element of divinity, what is birth and rebirth. And you yourself know that soul is eternal, it doesn't cease to exist. It passes from one body to another body. Lord Krishna in Gita, he said that the soul changes the body like we change clothes. It's that simple for it. So you know this is when, and obviously, because if we lose this consciousness that we it's just one life and we live it the way we want, this world can be full of people who work erratically, and there is no order, there is no system. Anybody can go just to fulfill their desires, to meet their own likeness and the way they want. It's never realizing that what is the effect of their karma would be on others and on themselves. So when this consciousness is existing, we somewhere know that karma is beyond one life. So we have to be most of the time, we as individuals or as a society, we live in a mode of denial. Because things are inconvenient to us, we deny it. So something which actually enables you to not only face the truth but realizes, it comes in the practical experience that comes in the domain of Sanatan Dharma.
No, great point you mentioned, and it brings to the point that generally for the audience, I can summarize it that you don't have just one life; you have many,
Yeah,
many lives, and like you said, karma lives on. And
they do.
and one of my books is very popular with the students here, and I won't say the name. Is Karma is a Bee. I wrote over there, and it's all about the science of karma. Now,
Yeah, it's staying.
coming back to the, it is usually used as a curse word. When two people are fighting, they say karma is going to catch you on, or karma is something, karma is a bee. I won't say the word here, but and that's how people curse each other, but generally they don't realize that karma lives on. Another important aspect, and is the the scientific, you already explained, or the scientific basis of Sanatan Dharma, that how it is scientific because it is experiential. One of the dogmas that comes into the minds of many people who would like to experience Sanatan Dharma is the mispropaganda that Hindus have a caste system. And where the word caste, if I ask them the origin of caste, it's a Portuguese word. So if the word is Portuguese, then how Hindus have a caste? Hindus don't speak Portuguese. Hindus speak other languages, Sanskrit-based languages. And so when they say, if I become a Hindu, and then which caste I'll belong to, I said there is no caste system there. So you belong to a place which is according to your occupation, varna, and the qualities you have. What is your view on that,
Mhm.
Sadhviji?
So, very well put question here. Obviously, I was coming to Varna only because Varna and caste are very different systems. So, Varna means sector. You know, the so-called modern society. Yeah, I'm in the IT sector. Okay, I'm in the banking sector, or I'm in the infra sector. So, no, we very well say that sector. So, the ancient society, because when we know that the Indian civilization is the oldest civilization, and it is rooted in the consciousness of Sanatana Dharma. So in that time, the Sanatana Dharma civilization was primarily divided into four sectors. So one sector was, learning and disseminating education. So that was Brahman. So, and Brahman was not only the people who have read the scriptures and who read the books and who have been the academic or literary, you know, because it further had the classifications of sectors, So then, it was Brahma Janati iti Brahmanam, means the one who has known the Brahma or who has known the soul essentially is a Brahman. So it was their duty to propagate the ultimate knowledge of consciousness and also academics to the society. Then, since it was a time of warfare where, the so Kshatriyas was another Varna who were actually ruling, maintaining law and order, and fighting wars in case of, intrusion or something. And then it was, then it was the Vaishyas who were actually into business, trade, industry, productions, manufacturing, everything. It was the Vaishya system. And then there was service sector. It was, they were not, neither they were producing, nor they were trading, nor they were selling, neither they were into education, nor they were into law enforcement or ruling or governance. So that was Shudra, means the service sector. So when they say that, Shudras were the untouchables or something, no. The untouchability was, it infiltrated into the Indian system because of 1200 years of invasion that we've faced. And it's not only the ills of untouchability, but many other ills that have come into our society. The Parda system, you look at the thousands, 5,000, 10,000-year-old temples, and you will never find any sculpture where women are being kept under veils or something, under covering their face or covering their bodies. It was never there. So, the Parda system came into India due to, different cultures and different civilizations that were imposed onto us. So we have to be very practical that, I am a sadhu here. Nobody asks me, like, you start coming here and you talk about the dharma to me, you talk about spirituality, you talk about faith to me. What is your caste? I don't remember. It's been 17 years since I've come into this order of, sadhu, and nobody has ever asked me, hey, what is your caste? No, no, nobody has asked me ever. I'm accepted because I'm a preacher of Sanatan Dharma. When somebody comes to me, I never ask, okay, and now let me ask your caste first. Like, what is your varna? What is your jati? Are you in? Can you now listen to what I speak? Are you even, enable enough, or is it even permissible for you to listen to what I'm talking into spirituality? This doesn't occur here. It is a facade that has been created because, you in the beginning said that we it's not a political platform. So it's, we understand that that is a systematic propaganda to, malign the image of Hinduism, because it is one of the oldest civilization. And, there has been a systematic, a syndicated approach to, collapse this particular system in India from within and impose other faith systems of faith. So, the best way to actually, demolish something is to develop the cracks from within. So, the system that now you believe that Hindus, or, the Sanatan Dharma has a caste system, because in India, systematically through education, they are, implanting these thoughts in, even in these students here, that, there is a lot of flaws in Sanatan Dharma. I said, don't. I am saying there are no flaws, and somebody is saying there are flaws. Don't believe me. Don't believe them. Go ahead, experience it. Once you experience it, you will need no validation. I was talking in the previous question about philosophy. Like in the world, others, we call it there are think tanks, and then you think over certain subjects and some concepts, and then you come up with a logy, and then you call it a philosophy. We got a thought structure around something, and in India we call it as a vad. So the thing is that in India, we do not call it as philosophy. We call it as darshan shastra. Darshan means direct perception. For any philosophy to exist, you need books. India has faced invasions to a level where the universities, where the scriptures, where the manuscripts were burnt. and we had no reference to the past. But still, Sanatan Dharma survived because our connection to our faith and our consciousness does not depend on what I read. My consciousness and my faith depends on what I experience at the soul level. And the basis of Sanatan Dharma is a Guru Shishya Parampara. Guru means a master, a seer who has seen the soul and can show you immediately. It doesn't take years together. So this knowledge of direct perception of soul, the Guru gives you the technique. He opens your third eye. The very immediate moment you see that light, effulgent form of spirit within, you connect, and then it is, the the most potent part. People come to India is for meditation, for spirituality. Meditation is not even a right word that we use here. We use dhyan. Dhyan means the concentration on the object. Dhyan is not something that you close your eyes outside and then you see nothing inside and you sit in silence chanting something. Is not dhyan. Dhyan is that you've seen the eternal object of soul inside and you have focused your mental faculties on it. And once you focus your mental faculties on the soul, the all the knowledge that has been listed out in the scriptures has come from this consciousness of soul. So even if you take away my records, even if you take away my manuscripts, even if you demolish my architecture, if you demolish everything, you cannot take that eternal knowledge of soul consciousness from me, because in India, and we know that gurus keep coming. So whenever there is a true guru, whenever there is a seer who comes again and lives on this earth and imparts this knowledge, what we call as Brahma Gyan, means an opening of the third eye and having the direct perception of soul, the moment he will impart this knowledge again, all the knowledge which has been lost will be revived again from the direct perception of and direct realization of the consciousness. So we don't say that you got to you can malign me or you can make me disbelieve in my own self just by taking away my original manuscripts, taking away my burning my original records, and then writing fake records for me and then telling me your history is this. No, nobody can do that to me, because I have my own technique of connecting to my eternal self, and then I would know what I am. No, there is nobody to come and tell me that. And that is the beauty and that is the strength, and that is why Sanatan Dharma is eternal. For ages we were invaded, for ages we were attacked, but we survived. Why is the Sanatan Dharma civilization eternal? Because it depends on the eternal knowledge of Brahma Gyan. That's what my Guru Sri Ashutosh Maharaj Ji has told us, and that's why by no matter what, all the seers and sages of times have they come and they revive the knowledge. You can never take the eternal knowledge away from a human civilization. India is always there to revive it. That's my answer to the question.
No, great point you mentioned over here, because it is being constantly attacked for no reason, and the reason, and we can see that the Zoroastrian culture in Persia was very closely connected to Hinduism. That's why when the Islamic atrocities increased over there, they all came to India, because that's what their home. And most of the, and they are, and it's the only culture. Parsi is a Sanskrit word. People don't even realize that Mahabharata has the mention of the term Parsik.
Yeah.
So it's a so for Greeks called it Persia, because they added a in everything they did. Like for example, Hindu, they added India. That was in Indy, and that's how the Greeks
Yeah.
called it. So my last question in this series is that you talked about soul, you talked about why there is a conspiracy behind Sanatan Dharma, why they want to show it down. Third thing you mentioned about is experiential. That means it's scientific. Now, the most of the Abrahamic faiths are based around dogmas. Dogmas means like you have to believe in something. It's based on belief, and you rightly differentiated that with experience, because if you can experience, why should I believe it? Experience is a much stronger uh, faith than belief, because belief can change anytime. Now, my last question in this series will be that the Western audience, mostly in the Western countries, they have been told so many negative things. And I live in California, and I know the California textbooks, how they completely demonize the faith of Hindus and even Buddhists. They're to some extent connected to dharma. So you explain dharma as a duty, and when we say karma is a self-responsible act and dharma is a duty, then what about the rights? Because people talk about rights a lot. So, and my take on that right is, and after that you answer, is that if I claim my rights and I only focus on my rights, then I automatically take somebody else's rights. So because rights is a finite entity. So what is your take on rights versus dharma?
See, it's a very beautiful question, and I'd like to put it. This is a question which I had a opportunity to sit at the lotus feet of my Guru Sri Ashutosh Maharaji, and some person came up and asked a question about duties and rights. He very beautifully said that to have a right, like we have a word adhikar in Hindi. Adhikar means rights. So to claim my right, I need to have that something called as patrita. If somebody knows Hindi, they would understand the meaning of patrita. Means I
Qualified.
hold the word. Yeah, I should be qualified to seek that rights. So, like for an example, everybody in all the civilized countries, cultured countries, we have that civil rights exist. But the moment you offend the law, you are taken into custody and you're put in behind bars and you're put in jail. And for that particular period, all your rights, all your civil rights are taken away from you because you have not performed your duty or you've not lived in the society as a responsible citizen, and for some in some way you have offended or you have overruled the law. It is different countries have different laws, and similarly human society also goes by certain human principles which are also we understand, we simply, this is not humanity, oh this is so human, because we understand human virtues. So it has to be a balance. We cannot claim our rights without performing our duties, and when you perform your duties adequately, you become qualified to seek your rights. And as a because this entire universe works in consonance, it works in consonance. So it automatically something that you deserve comes to you. So I'll give you another example, reference from Mahabharata only, when Arjun is in dilemma that should he fight the war or should he not? Is it his duty to fight the war, or is it his greed for the kingdom that he is fighting the war? And Lord Krishna goes ahead and says that it is it is your duty to save the kingdom from the hands of the people who are actually misusing authority and power, and therefore you've got to establish order in the society, and for that you've got to take it in your own hands. And then this discussion goes on, and there is a point where Lord Krishna says yoga kshemam vahamyaham, that Arjuna, don't worry, I will take care of what you possess, and I will bring to you what you don't possess but you need. What is your rightful right? It will come to you. But before that, you have to perform your duty as a warrior, as a kshatriya, and I am there to yoga kshemam vaham में हम तो योग और क्षेम का वहन करने के लिए मैं बैठा हूँ. I am sitting here. I'm right here to take care, to protect what you own and to bring to you what should be yours. So it is such a beautiful example, like Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that you perform your duties and your rights will be bestowed automatically. That's how this universe works. But here, why this balance goes up? Because we have shut down and we've thrown behind us the concept of performing our duties as a human being, as a part of a society, as an existing live human beings. And more thing we ask is our rights. So we have to be qualified to seek for our rights, and genuinely, and in case we talk of it by this by the perspective of human virtues, the people who give, automatically become receivers. So that's how we need to look at it. That's how Sanatan Dharma explains it.
No, very well put it, because the in giving we receive, and that's how it is all about. And Sanatan Dharma is all about giving and without claiming. Also, the generally it is said the left hand should not know what the right hand is doing.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Thank you for coming, and I really appreciate for answering straight, and also for viewers who watched in big numbers, and who are live audience right now. If you have any questions, do put it on the comments when the recording is sent on the YouTube. So uh,
Yeah, and I would definitely try to answer there myself. If I'll go to the link, and in case you have questions which I would love to answer, something which are logical and reasonable, I would definitely answer them.
thank you so much, and namaskar, Sadhvi ji.
Thank you. Namaste.